Trip with me to Nigeria, beautiful people, as I bring you this popular delicacy called Moimoi. Yes, my name is Sianoki, and it is a travel with me. We're on a virtual travel, and today we've landed in Nigeria. So, first thing to do is to soak your beans. You can do this overnight, but I did this a few hours, about 4 to 5 hours. So, I just soaked my beans, and then later, once it is soft, once it's very easy for you to take off the skin, I just use my hand to sort of press them, and then rub them in between my hands to get rid of all the skin. And then now we have a beautiful skinless looking beans. So to that I'll be adding some scotch bonnet pepper, some yellow bell pepper, and onions. Okay, I'll also, Nigerians don't joke with their crayfish. I mean, I've been seeing these recipes going that everybody's adding crayfish, but I'll add shrimp powder, herring powder, some seasoning cube, and salt, because that is what I have. So I added that, and then I added 1 cup of water. So note, 1 cup of beans, 1 cup of water. I'm stating this because if the water is too much at this point, when you blend, your mix may be gritty. So you don't want to add a lot of water to blend. Just enough to move the blades of the blender. Okay, that way it will blend it nice and smooth. If the water is too much, the beans will be all over in there. At least with the experience I have from making akara or akala or kosi. Yes, so I rinse out my blender with just a little water, and then I'm just whisking this to mix it, and then also to help fluff it up a bit, okay, so that it's easy to work with. I also added in 1/3 cup of cooking oil. I'll put all the measures in my description box. Now the next thing I'll do is to take out my leaves, and these were the leaves that even inspired this recipe. I got these leaves for some, some local recipe that I did, and then there was just a lot of them. All of it was 2 cedis. So I'm like, okay, what can I do with the rest of the leaves? Then I remember, hey, Moimoi, I see it circulating around all the time, everywhere. Before I even started my channel, everywhere you pass, there's Moimoi. Every Nigerian, there's. I'm like, okay, you know what? I think it is time for us to try this. So when I was watching the recipe, I knew that this was definitely going to be maybe the difficult part, getting this wrapped up in a leaf. This is my first attempt, the first time I'm doing this. So I put the leaves together. I mean, and I think that my leaves were also small. If you see, most of the leaves that they use for moimoi is quite big. Mine was small, so I just made it into a corn form. I flipped the bottom over, and then I'm pouring in my mix. Okay, so once that is done, I'll also add in my egg. I've seen people adding other stuff like mackerel and all of those, but because it's my first time, I just wanted to take it simple, okay, so that I don't waste anything should it go bad. So yes, first of all, successful. I was so happy. So you see what I'm doing. I put the leaves side by side like that, and then I would take the 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 bottom part like this, and then roll it over just like that. I think the leaves, I have turned it. I think the back is supposed to be inside. Okay, so you get a corn shape like this, and then you bend the bottom just like what I'm doing. That way it will not pour out. So once you do that, you pour your mix in it, and then you flip the top over. And when you are flipping the top over, make sure that where it's going to go down should align with what you have turned at the bottom. I hope I am making sense. Yes, and then that is it. So my moimoi is relatively small compared to what you may see, but that's because my leaves are small as well. So I did this until everything was done. I noticed that they pack some sticks into the saucepan before they line it up with these leaves, okay? Then they add some small water. It is a steam that's going to cook this, but I didn't have some sticks with me, so I decided to use my rack. So after I put the water and then the leaves, based it, I just put my rack on top of it, and then I'll cover and let this cook. I'm doing this because you know the moimoi mix was a bit watchy, and that is how they say it's like it. They say if you want it softer, you make it lighter. So I didn't want that to pour at all. So every now and then I'll just open and I'll be checking. This thing was boiling. It was like 40 to 50 minutes at this time. I was holding it, it looked firm. I'm like, okay, how will I know this is ready? You know what? Let me just take one and open it. So let me just take one and open it. By the time I realized, hey, this was almost gone. So I opened the second one, and I want to say that Moimoi is nothing like akara, okay? Because when I saw the recipe, I thought that oh, it's going to be like kose. And even though I eat kose occasionally, I'm not like a crazy fan of kose. So anytime I see moi moi, I'm like, okay, this is kose. But the texture is so different. It's different from akara. Like the way it looks like. The texture feels more like I don't know, more like a bankun swallow in Ghana, and it was so good. I wasn't expecting the taste. Like I wasn't. I was expecting it to be like, oh, maybe kose, but look at it, very different texture. My people from Nigeria, please let me know. Did I do a good job? Please let me know. And I couldn't credit this video to any of the creators from Nigeria because I used to see a lot of them on Instagram even before I became a content creator myself. So I can't really figure out where I saw this recipe for the first time, but I've watched a number of Nigerian videos for this recipe.